Welcome to another exciting and informative episode of the Entreprenudist Podcast, the place to hear real entrepreneurs and business owners bear it all. I'm your host, life strategist and retirement planner, Randolph Love III. And if you have not heard the third's the word, we do have another great business owner on the podcast today. But before we bring him up, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Wolf Strongholds, a wealth growth and protection company. When it comes to estate planning, when it comes to life insurance, when it comes to employee benefits, when it comes to retirement planning, if your plan ain't Wolf, your plan ain't strong. If you are a business owner that wants you and your employees to retire higher than you would have prior, make sure you visit shieldwolfstrong.com or call or text +1 904 822 4262. Now to our guests. Fuquan Bilal is a visionary, real estate investor, and educator who has spent the last 25 years transforming distressed properties into high-yielding assets as the CEO of NNG Capital Fund. Fuquan has raised over $50 million in real estate capital and built a thriving portfolio of Class B multifamily properties and luxury single-family homes. His unique strategies and ability to connect with investors have made him a leader in the industry. Fuquan is passionate about empowering others to achieve financial freedom through real estate, and he's here to share his insights on creating wealth, building networks, and transforming communities. Fuquan, welcome to the Entreprenudist Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Man, I really appreciate you. You've been doing this for a long time at a high level. Is there nothing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
I would say patience.
Patience.
Patience, yes.
All right. Should I patiently wait on you to elaborate, or should I ask?
Well, when you're young and you're coming into business, you don't have patience. You want everything now, right? Like the microwave mentality. And it's, if I can go back to when I first started and understood slow is smooth, smooth is fast, I think I would have been in a better position, less frustrated. Probably would have had more hair in my head, So but patience is something that I wish I would have learned earlier on.
Oh yeah, because patience is definitely a virtue. And the first time I heard that saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, is from a friend of mine who is a Marine. He says there's no ex-Marines, right? So if I were to say he was a former Marine, he don't want to hear that. He's currently still a Marine. And when he said that, he said, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And, it sounds cool, but how do you use that philosophy when it comes to what you do in this raising capital and real estate investing in these multifamily properties and luxury homes?
Yeah, it's the same as like the concept, the saying one step back to take two steps forward. You really have to take your time and evaluate things, think of it. A lot of times, at least for me, it's like left brain, right? The creative mind, the visionary, but then the right brain is the analytical side, and trying to use both different parts of the brain, to kind of make a rational decision to move forward and not move forward with emotion. So having a team actually is what help. Having team members that you can count on, that you can delegate a responsibility where they can have and hold that responsibility. And when you have team members that are in your circle like that, you become freer to really thrive in your talents. Like, I'm a visionary. I'm not an operations person. I have team members that are really operational mindset. They geek out on that. I hate operations. It's mandatory. But I really try to focus on the forward. I'm a forward thinker, so I really try to think of where are we going to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What type of vision do I see for the company, and then how can we execute that? What can we work on now today to kind of get to the 3, 5, 10 year goal? So it's a lot. I mean, it's been 27 years for me, so it's not. A lot of people see me online. They see a lot of stuff I do. It looks easy, but it comes from experience. Right? This just didn't start yesterday. And there's still things I'm learning that I don't know, right? So for me, it's really being able to have the right team members. Look, there's 4 parts of the business, and this is something I just recently learned a few years ago. People, strategy, execution, and cash. No matter which business you're in, whether it's real estate, whatever you're doing, there's people, strategy, execution, and cash. And you have to really have goals in each and every one of those areas every quarter. Some will be more than others, right? In order for your business to thrive, right? And that's what a lot of people, don't realize. They just go on a whim, or some people transfer from, the 9-to-5 mindset to becoming an entrepreneur, which is great. But you need to understand it's a complete difference, right? Are you ready to work 6-7 days a week? Are you ready to stay up late night? Are you ready to burn a midnight oil, right? It's only a short period that you'll do that, right? I think Goggins says stay uncommon amongst uncommon people, right? Mm-hmm. Always pushing yourself to the next level to get where you want to get. And then don't feel like you've arrived. It's always day one. So those are the things that I try to focus on. No matter what level I get to, it's always another level to unlock. They say you need to look back and see how far you come. I do that as well. I'm grateful for all things I learned, but I know I haven't even tapped into my potential. So,
Oh yeah, the more you know, the more you know, the more you don't know. It never stops. It keeps going, and that supporting staff is very, very important. I looked up the people part.
The hardest part.
Oh, the hardest part, and it's the hardest part spelled both ways: HARDEST and HEARTEST. It takes a special person to set up everything for themselves, but then now you're responsible for other people, and then you have to put in that work to have a surplus, have a cup that runneth over. I recently looked up the original definition to the word imbecile. Today they say the word imbecile is simply a stupid person. When I look in my father's my grandfather's, when I look in his dictionary from back in the 70s, it says imbecile is somebody with the mental capacity of 3 to 7. But when I look up the original definition, it says imbecile is a person without a supporting staff. Right. Mm-hmm. And what they're referring to is, it's deep. It's deep. They're referring to the long stick that you walk with, that you defend yourself with, that you reach for things with. But words are not an accident. Just like a wooden staff, your human staff, they help you walk, they help you defend yourself, they help you reach for things, and it sounds like you've already discovered that supporting staff is what keeps you out of the imbecile category.
I like that.
Oh, yes, sir. So, and another thing you mentioned, slow is fast, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. The higher a person's net worth is, I've noticed the slower they seem to talk. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule. When you get to that billionaire club, they be talking almost as slow as a turtle. How do you raise capital from accredited investors without being pushy, without feeling like you're moving too fast with them?
Yeah, so for me, I'm an energetic person. So I'm animated also. And that's one thing I do have to work on, is slowing down my conversations. Sometimes I do that, and people who know me, they say, now you're talking to me like I'm a second grader. Like this speed up the process, right? They want to smack the words out the back of your head. You're talking so slow. But I like that, right? The slow, methodical approach, because it helps me think about what I'm going to say instead of just talking fast. So I have a tendency, because I know the business and what I do, I think I've created mastery because I have so many hours. So when I talk to novice people, I'm usually talking fast and going through the deal, and people don't understand that. And sometimes it could be a brain overload. But raising capital is a relationship business. It's really, people have to get to know, like, and trust you. They may see you on a podcast. They may be in your drip funnel campaign. They may see you at a conference. They may be interested in the asset class that you invest in. It's a whole other business, and it's relationship building. You have to nurture the lead, reach out to the person, educate them. And when they feel as though they're educated and they know, like, and trust you, then, they will possibly become a capital partner. And then from there is doing what you say you're going to do, because the referral business is serious, right? If someone's been investing with you for 2, 3, 4 years, they've been receiving a return on time, the right return that you told them they were going to get, communication is great, they're going to tell their friends about you. And you get business like that. We get a lot of business from referrals. So definitely just know that it's a relationship building. And over the years, I started my first fund in 2013, but I was in the business since 99. So my first go before the '08 global financial crisis was hard money lenders and small mom and pop investors, family members, lawyers, doctors, people that I knew or even got referrals from. After the global financial crisis, 2010, I kind of got into another business, which was the note business, and I had to raise a lot of money to be able to buy large tapes from the bank. So I looked into raising capital, met an SEC attorney, put together a fund. And the first 2 years was really hard because I didn't have those accredited investors in my network. So I had to start going to places, events, venues where they were and start to build relationships. And then it took me another 2, 3 years to build relationships. So after 5 years of being in the raising money business was when I had a track record established by then. I've had a few investors that came along. They started giving me referrals. So I would say probably until about year 7 is when I really started to raise a lot of the capital, because by that time I had the track record, the team members, and everyone else to help me. So it's, some people are lucky, right? I have, you mentioned I raised $50 million or $60 million, right? And that's was from 2013. You're talking, 13 years, right? And that's really nothing. It's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But compared to some of the people who are in different networks, I'll give you an example. I know a guy who's a Wall Street fallout, spent 7, 8 years on Wall Street, decided to do his own thing, created a fund. Within 2 years, he raised $300 million, right? Versus he, 13 years, $60 million. 2 years, he raised $300 million. So it depends on what circles you grew up in, who's your resources, who you went to college with, what network you have. That's really what matters, right? So if people knew you as you grew up and went to school with them, you have people in Ivy League colleges and different types of networks. Your network is your network. So if you don't have that network, you have to find these places and put yourself there. It can be the Rotary Club. It could be Country Club. It can be, these are events. You don't have to get memberships that are expensive. You have yacht clubs. You can go to events there, charity events. You have the events the city councils usually do. It's the dinners where they sponsor and have people come and sponsor dinner, food and stuff. You can attend those events. Putting yourself where high network people are and educating them and building relationships and nurturing those relationships is the answer to your question.
So not how, but who.
Correct. That's a good book, by the way.
Oh yeah, it is. And it's one of those. Oh, who, not how, right? Switch it up, right? But it's one of those things that really makes you think of ways to not just be trying to figure out the ones and twos of it, but the who and when. Because what a lot of times, a lot of people, they might discredit going to the Ivy League schools, and there's a place for it, and there's a maybe not, but a lot of times when you go into the mindset of I'm looking for lifelong friends, this may or may not be the best education. It might be, or it might not, but I'm looking for lifelong friends that can say from the very first time that they met me that I had a high say-do ratio. Whatever I said I was going to do, I did. And sometimes you fall short, but at the very least, 90% of the time, you do what you say. What do these investors? What do you say you're going to do for them? Because it seems like you've been saying and doing a lot, and they refer people. But when you start in a fund, what is the typical expectation of what you're going to do for them?
Well, you have your business plan in the private placement memorandum, which is the document that the investor read over to see what your business plan is, what risks are involved, who your team members are that are part of this mission that you're taking out to achieve. What returns are they going to make? What's in it for them? And then you have an understanding of those terms. They sign up, and then you do exactly what you say you were going to do. And if you can't, you communicate that. Hey, this is a challenge that I ran into. You're not going to make 12%. You're only going to make 10%, and here's why. Right? It could be systemic to something in the market. It could be COVID, things like that you have no control over, and just educating them on that. Understand communication is important. So if I say I'm going to communicate, then I'm going to communicate the bad and ugly, and basically that's it. A lot of people raise capital once they get the money in the door. They don't continue to educate and communicate with the investor. They think just send out the monthly reported statements is enough. But every once in a while, I will call the investors. Hey, how are you doing? How's it going? Is there anything you need from me? Is my staff treating you well? Let me know. And do those spot checks to make sure that the quality of the service that I'm expecting to deliver is happening, even from the people in my investor relations department on the front line. So those are some of the things that
Oh yeah. The highest form of compensation is communication. And if people actually look at the totem pole when it comes to money being generated, they would agree with me. Like, even when it comes to selling a roof, unfortunately, the person that's making the least amount of money on that totem pole is the person that's actually putting the nail into the shingle. But the person that's making the most money are the people that actually communicated door to door to the people, letting them know that we can sell you a roof, and also the owner of the business communicating between the city with the permits, between the vendors with the materials, between the homeowners. The person that's a part of the communication aspect is the one that gets compensated the most. And it seems like you utilize that truth. Yeah, universal truth to your benefit. You over communicate as far opposed to just communicating enough to be compliant.
Got it.
So I'm a proud C student, right? I'm very proud of my C status. I graduated high school with a 2.1. I have a graduate degree, professional designations, but I even used a loophole to sneak around to the graduate school. I didn't do associates and bachelors. I went straight to the American College of Financial Services because of me actually putting in the work. And even then, I'm still a proud C student, but I get the work done. It sounds like you're a proud Class B multifamily person. You focus on the Class B multifamily properties instead of the Class A's. Why?
Well, it's actually C and B. So just so for the audience to know, the class is going to be based off two things. It's going to be based off a year and condition, or what type of area the property is in, right? So of course, a Class D would be high returns with the most risky, because you may have drug dealers, gangbangers, and stuff like that, right? And it could be a 60s or 50s built building. Again, high return, big risk. Class C could be somewhere 70s build. Area's a little bit better, but it's still tough to deal with. And then you have C plus, and then B is things that are a little bit newer, right? Not brand new construction like Class A, but a little bit newer, rents are a little bit high, areas a little bit better, stuff like that. And as you go along your journey, I start off with Class D, right? Because it was the cheapest, highest return. I come from the hood, so I can get in there, talk, negotiate. But there's only a certain amount of time where you get burnt out, and you go to a level where you go, I can actually move to a different class, have different drama, right? Still drama, but less drama, and basically make a little less money, but it's more peaceful. And as you go up the chain, that's usually how it goes. Return gets smaller, asset gets stronger, more peaceful. So Class A is a small return, but new construction appreciation is there for the future, and it's a longer waiting game to get to the goal. But you have professionals renting from you, where you don't have to worry about somebody saying, "I don't have the rent money." So where they're like in Class C, you have a lot of people, playing the games or whatever. Not everybody. There's some good people in those areas. Like I said, I grew up in the areas I know what it's about. I know people who play the system and game, and people who have morals. So that's pretty much what we focus on in the Southeast. Our impact project, because I was born and raised in North New Jersey, grew up in areas where there's a lot of blighted properties. And giving my feeling of importance is going back to the neighborhood and making a difference, right? Going from complex to community. And not just worried about curb appeal, really, how do you shift the mindset of those people that are in that community? Like, what can you do? Can you do financial literacy classes? Can you do Zumba classes? Can you do classes that teach them how to fill out a resume? Back to school initiatives, things, Halloween, stuff like that, to kind of create community. Because that's how I grew up, the block parties, the stuff like that, when we were younger. So just trying to keep that same thing in mind as we go and invest to make the impact. So it's not always about what return we can make, it's about the impact we can make. And that's something I had to realize after the global financial crisis. Because before that, I got in real estate when I was 24. Before that, it was all about the money, right? The material stuff, the money, right? And then once you get to a certain point, you have so much money, you're like, it's you reach that goal already, so you don't have any fulfillment. And the fulfillment, for me at least, and probably other people as well, comes from impact. What changes can you make? How can you impact people? It's just more rewarding than the money, right? The money comes from that, but you give value, you get value.
So it seems coincidental that when you're dealing with the Class B and the Class C properties, that you get a higher ROI financially, but also a higher ROI impact-wise.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
So I know there are a lot of markets that are overlooked that have these type of properties, but I know Macon, Georgia is one of those areas that you seem to focus on. What makes areas like Macon, Georgia attractive for investment?
Well, it's affordable housing there as well, for people to live, and it fits our buy box, right? We looked at Atlanta, which there's a lot of areas in Atlanta, I think, that are overpriced for where it's located, and I believe that 5 years from now, Macon, it won't be the next Atlanta, but it would be more people migrating from the north to the south, because rents are, getting extremely high. Almost $1,800 now for a 2-bedroom. In some places, $2,100. So where you can have a 2-bedroom for $850 in Macon and drive to work an hour. So a lot of people were seeing a migration come from the north to the south, meaning Atlanta to Macon. Anywhere really in middle Georgia, but we have a good footprint in Macon. I like it. We're also in Birmingham, Alabama, another low-income area that we focus on. So.
Oh yeah, and I'm just going to put this plug in here now, because I want to hopefully get your agreement on camera. If you need anybody to do any of your financial literacy classes, please reach out to me. I'm also a proponent of high impacts. So if you need anybody to help facilitate any of those financial literacy workshops, I'm your man. Okay.
Appreciate that.
I'm gonna get him to say okay. Let's see if he says it verbally. He's good, y'all. He didn't say okay, but he said appreciate it. I'll give y'all an update when he lets me in. How do you structure your real estate deals to protect your investors' capital?
Well, we actually do the underwriting process. So, when you underwrite a deal, you're looking for things that were risk adjusted, right? So let's say, for example, if a value is, let's say 100,000, we'll value it at 80,000. Right? We do a 20% off of the value, and we do our calculation off of that. So it's a risk-adjusted return. We may build in more holding time. So we say this is going to be a 6-month project. We'll say maybe it's going to take a year. And if it still pans out with those additional metrics, reducing value and more expenses, if it still pans out, then it's a great deal. And that's kind of what we're focusing on, great deals. Right now in the market, when it comes to multifamily, it's a really good market now because a lot of operators are in trouble. So just want to be careful what you buy. But that's how we protect our investors through underwriting.
Okay. You under promise and you over deliver.
Correct.
All right. So that sounds like a great way to avoid a lot of mistakes when it comes to setting expectations with investors and not meeting it, and then ultimately potentially ruining your reputations. But are there no other common mistakes that new investors make, and if so, how do they avoid them?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the real business and the multifamily side of it is asset management. And if you look on the construction side, one of our other verticals are luxury spec homes that we do here in New Jersey, where I've been investing the last 27 years, where we sell a property for $2.5 to $3.5 million, something that we made a purchase for $1 million, tore it down or added an addition and built up. So that's the other vertical that we have. So there's risk in every investment, but I would say really being educated in that asset class, surrounding yourself around people that have the experience, learning from them, putting yourself in a mastermind, figuring out what's happening on a macro versus a micro level, and continuing to underwrite based on what's happening in your local market. Nothing is perfect. Things will go wrong. I always tell investors it's possible you can lose all your money. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is guaranteed. And an experienced investor knows that. If someone gets in thinking that it's guaranteed, then shame on them, right? They invest in Bitcoin, they invest in all this stuff. When it loses money, they invest again, right? So just educating investors, understanding, letting them understand the risk is important.
If somebody wanted to know more about the subject, whether they are an investor or someone looking to start their own fund, what book should they read?
Wow, there's a lot of great books out there. Ray Dalio has some books. To come to mind is, I would just go to Amazon and look up Raising Private Money. There's a bunch of books there. There's something called Best in Class for Multifamily, which is a really good book. I learned a lot from Raising Capital, kind of take you through the whole process of evaluating raising capital. And I think it's the guys from Bigger Pockets, somebody from there wrote that book. But just go to Raising Private Money, and it's a lot of different books on Amazon, or you can Google it and find out a lot. I don't have a particular book that I read and was like, oh my God, everybody must read this book. There's another book by Matt Burke called Capital Attraction that I like. I've probably read about, 20 different books on raising capital, and just pulled a little bit from each and tried to implement certain things. Strategies that people were doing, watch a lot of YouTube. It's still something that I'm learning, right? It's a whole another business. It's not like you can read a book and then go out and raise, $4 or $5 million. It's all about relationships, looking at who's in your circle. What do you think they're worth? Are you educated enough? Do you have a track record? And then you build from there.
What's your definition of success?
An optimized daily experience, sustainable over time.
Oh man, you seem like you thought about this. That's your core value. Yeah. Oh yeah. And last question: is there not a question that I did not ask you that I should have?
My favorite ice cream.
What is your favorite ice cream?
I don't eat ice cream. Too much sugar. No, we covered it all.
Man. One more time, let everybody know who you are, what do you do, and how they can get in touch.
Fuquan Bilal, fund manager at NNG Capital Fund. You can go to our website, nngcapitalfund.com, set up a discovery call if you're interested in becoming a capital partner.
This has been another exciting and informative episode of the Entreprenudist Podcast, the place to hear real entrepreneurs and business owners bear it all. Once again, I'm your host, Randolph Love III, life strategist and retirement planner. And until next time, don't play with it, stay with it until you make pay with it. This is the Entreprenudist Podcast, signing off.